Good morning, good morning. What is up, folks? Let's see, let me get a notification out. People sleeping in this morning. Where is, how do there we go. Copy. All right. Get that out to the world. What's up, wise guys? Good morning, good morning. Good to see you here. What's up to our friends on YouTube? Hope you all are doing well. Sorry for being a little, I was kind of focused on doing a couple of things there. Sorry for the dead air when I first got on for a second. Let's get over to the morning live stream. Let me get my screen sharing happening. What's up, new trader? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right. You guys should see my screen now. We've got YouTube up and running. Everything looks good. Okay, cool. So let's get rolling here. I appreciate you guys showing up bright and early. I know sometimes it's hard to drag yourself out of bed and say, oh man, the market doesn't open for another hour. I don't need to be up this early, but here you are making the best of your trading day with me. I'm glad to be here doing another Chart Talk Live for Thursday, August 14th, brought to you by Xtrades. What's up, Navy Plum? Good to see you. Data is out and it's a decent drop. Yeah, it's a decent drop so far. As we can see here on the ES chart, it is pulling back to support. We do see some buying stepping in there at support, and a lot of times those who have been trading the markets for a while will attest to this, although it is certainly not always the case, and it is definitely I would say a bit anecdotal. A lot of times the initial reaction to this market, to these data points, will be kind of the fake move before the real move, I guess, for lack of a better way of saying it. We tend to see things sort of quickly move in one direction and then ultimately reverse course and head the opposite direction. By the time it's all, oh, excuse me, let me get some of this coffee, and by the time it's all said and done. So let's take a look at what the data looks like. I know it came out, but I have not looked at it. We did have jobless. Oh wait, no, that's old. Why is that the old calendar? That's weird. Oh, I know why. Because I was looking at something the other day. We want this week. How about that? There we go. All right, so we did have PPI and jobless claims come out this morning. Ooh, God. Yeah, that's a bad number. PPI coming in at almost 1%, 0.9%. Previous reading on PPI was 0%. The consensus estimate on how PPI would come in was 0.2%. So that is a massive miss on PPI there. This drop that we're seeing may actually be legit. That's a pretty bad number, if I'm being perfectly honest. That is the producer price index. Hey, what's up, Veritas? Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, that is probably, if I had to hazard a guess, and I don't know all the data. I don't know exactly what the numbers look like or how how it's going to be factored in. But yeah, core producer prices, which that's not food and energy, rose by 0.9%. Market estimates were 0.2%. Core producer prices, that's up 3.3%. Yeah, that is a huge miss, or a very bad number. I don't know if it's a miss. It missed expectations to the upside, which is not good for any type of an inflation reading. Um, so if you want my, this is just my personal take on it. This, people might say that this is talking politics a little bit, but it just kind of is what it is. Um, you know, I I would certainly assume, and I think reasonably assume, that is now we're starting to see tariffs show up in this data. Um, we haven't seen it in CPI yet, but that's not all that surprising. It will hit the producers, the manufacturers first before it starts to show up in the consumer price indexing. So this is probably the first sign of what is, I think everybody has known for a while, and I know I've personally been saying it for a while, a bit of an inevitability when it comes to tariffs. For anybody who I hope, if you're, if you spent any time in the chat with us at Xtrades, I think you probably know better than this. I think most of America knows better than this, but just to put it out there, um, you know, tariffs always get paid by either U.S. businesses or the U.S. consumer. The businesses either eat that increase, and that cuts into their profit margins and ultimately cuts into GDP, or they pass it down to the consumer, at which point you start to see consumer price inflation, and it starts to hinder spending power and buying ability, and slows down economic activity. So again, I've said it for, gosh, probably getting close to a year now, probably over a year actually, now that it's August. The more I think about it, tariffs are inflationary. They're inflationary for the U.S. and the U.S. alone. It does not impact the exporters at all. So anyway, just keep that stuff in mind. And again, that is a little bit of reading between the lines on this data. Obviously, there's no confirmation that this huge spike in producer prices is because of tariffs, but I can't think of anything else that has changed significantly that would cause those producer prices, their cost of essentially manufacturing and getting products to the shelves. There's nothing else that I can really think of to point to that would say that's probably what caused that spike in their costs, and therefore is a pretty bad inflationary rate reading. So yeah, we certainly seeing a pretty stiff pullback based on that information. Again, that was a big miss to the upside based on the consensus estimates, and well above the previous reading. So again, that's kind of the story, and I'm sticking to it, at least my story, or how it looks to me. So so PPI, new trader is again the producer price index, and not surprised to see CPI coming in still fairly moderate, because if it's just now hitting the producers, it's yet to trickle down to the consumer. So again, my personal take on this. What's up, Chris? My personal take on this massive. Did you see the PPI numbers? It's pretty bad. Um, and again, I would say that is we're now starting to see, now that they've actually, there hasn't been 102-week pauses or 90-day pauses or anything like that, maybe with the exclusion of China. That is the most likely culprit of that massive spike in producer prices is tariffs. That's all there is to it. So, with a tariff, PPI came in at 0.9%. Chris, since you weren't here for the beginning, came in at 0.9%. The expectations were 0.2%, and I believe the previous reading was 0%. So that's big. Prices don't shift that fast unless there is some kind of major global supply chain disruption, a la COVID, which, obviously that's not the case. So the only other thing I can think that would spike producer pricing that rapidly has to be tariffs. So again, we're seeing the consequences of that economic policy is probably the best thing I can say. Yeah, VIX, it sounds great for your VIX calls, honestly. Even if we don't see a massive pullback, I've got to believe volatility is going to spike nonetheless. So anyway, all right, well, let's dig in. Let's talk about some of these trade plan recaps we've got. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and then please feel free to start dropping your ticker requests for this morning in the chats, and I will try to get to as many of those as we possibly can here this morning. So let's go through our trade plans from this week, last Tuesday's trade plans. What's up, Serge? Good to see you. We have Upwork. Upwork looked like it was breaking to the upside, however, pulling back with the markets here this morning. Still kind of overall on the bullish side of things, especially as long as it's holding over 1352. Upwork looks like it could be, maintaining its momentum potentially. So keep an eye on this one. We did get a break over and confirmed back test there going into the close yesterday. Obviously, with the entire market pulling back, that's got Upwork pulling back a little bit and is probably throwing a little bit of a curveball into the trade plan here, and probably on a lot of trade plans. So no surprises there, but overall things still looking pretty bullish here for Upwork. So keep an eye on it. It looks like it does want to make a move to the upside still. As long as we're holding over that 1352 level, everything looks fairly bullish to me. Let me just double check this hourly chart. Yeah, I mean, I don't see, everything looks pretty solid on it still. So we'll see if technicals can win the day when it comes to technicals versus the data that we just got. AMD, this one did give us a breakout, almost ran all the way to PT3 there yesterday, pulling back again with the rest of the market here this morning, back testing PT1 there at 180.61. Again, AMD still looking pretty solid here, as long as that 180.61 level holds. And overall charts looking bullish. So again, we'll see how technicals hold up against the data that we just got this morning. That is the AMD trade plan recap. Again, we did get a break. Let's see how that break played out. I personally have been focused on some other names. I made a lot of money on AMD on that 40% run to the upside it had recently. So, I've kind of been watching it, but not super eager to jump in. Looks like it gave us the break and the push, so would have been a good shares trade, but that would have been very hard to trade with options. AMD plan, though, did play out for some price targets. Unfortunately, not very actionable on the option side, but certainly a good share setup, and could have made some decent money there. Intraday, about almost a $9 upside move there within the day per share. So that's not bad at all on the share side of things. And then we've got Oklo. This one did give us a break to the upside. Let's get to this 15-minute chart. Yeah, we'll do this the fast way. did give us the break to the upside there Tuesday after we did this live stream plan. Pushed for a couple of price targets. Seems to be kind of middling around here between PTs 1 and 2 yesterday. Overall on the charts looking pretty bullish. Got a decent flip there of NTS. Would really like to see it hold the 200 SMA here around 76.61 if it is going to continue up to 84.76 and potentially give a breakout for new all-time highs. So keep an eye on Oklo. And then from last Thursday, we did IREN. Again, this one's not really giving us any really solid breaks in either direction since we did this trade plan. Let's get this back here. There we go. No real solid breaks yet. Does have a nice confluence of support here. So, you know, would be a little bit interesting to potentially look at this as a buy the dip opportunity on IREN as long as 1743 is holding. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, that came out of nowhere. That's a big yawn. More coffee. So IREN again trying to hold support, and last but not least ASTS. This one did play out to the downside, spiked down to PT3 for puts, and then launched off that back to the call entry on their earnings report there Monday evening. I think we probably talked about that on Tuesday's live stream. Did have a nice pullback to PT1 for puts and another bounce there, so trying to make higher lows so far. ASTS looking pretty decent. Would still like to see it hold over 49.95, and that's the level off which I started accumulating some shares. I did mention that in the chats because this is going to be a longer term hold. I didn't alert it. This is one that I'm going to slowly build up an equity position on and eventually start selling some covered calls against it. So I'm, very light on my share position so far. We're still pretty close to our entry price. But if we get another test down there, 42.41, I'm going to add more shares at that point and continue to scale into this until I'm happy with my overall exposure as well as my cost per share. So those are the trade plan recaps for you. It has to hold that level, but if it holds, I think it's it's going to be a good dip to buy potentially, but that level does need to hold. But yeah, we've crushed some of these share trades and buy the dip trades for sure. Appreciate Chris reminding me of our wonderful past performance and the type of thing that we try to continue to do every time we do one of these live streams. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get some of these new trade plans up and running. I don't know why trading these been loading these new tabs kind of slow lately. But it is what it is. All right, so VFF, Village Farms International. I'm not familiar with this name. I like a new name. Kind of low on the volume. What is it? I mean, it sounds like they, are farmers, but greenhouses. Oh, they're a little bit more in the MJ sector than I thought they would be farm and food, but that's okay. Obviously, that's been moving with the, federal reclassification rumors swirling around in the MJ sector. This one might be a little tough to chart. Serge, if you're cool with it, I want to circle back to this one closer to the end. But I will try to circle back to it and get a trade plan for it. It's just going to be a weird one to chart in very low volume. But I'm not against putting together a plan for it. Do we have any? Oh gosh. Sorry, I don't need that right there. kind of, excuse me, kind of interesting. All right, I will circle back to this one. I do want to take a look at a couple of others though. First, Target or Toast, RCL. 25. Oh, it did get big volume recently. Okay, that's good to know. I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing that was Monday. Or no, sorry, I'm on the weekly chart. Just curious to see if there was a specific day it got a lot of volume. Still looks like it was Monday. Yeah. Yeah, big volume there Monday, but then it pulled back as far as volume goes pretty significantly. But big spike in buying there for sure. Okay, yeah, we'll try to circle back to it. I just want to kind of focus on some more liquid names, some charts that have some more range and volatility to them. So let's take a look at, what was it, Toast or Target? Let's take a look. Toast is one that I've never traded before, but I do have some interest in it. Let's see what the Toast chart looks like. What? Have I analyzed this before? I don't think I've ever actually traded it, but I've apparently done a trade plan for it. It looks like that's not from that, but with these levels the way they are, it certainly looks like price targets and stop losses and all that kind of stuff. Okay, let's take a look. Where the hell's the price currently? Okay. Yeah, this one's actually been moving a lot since the last time I looked at it. Up from the 20s into the 40s here. All right, well, let's take a look at this one. I'd like to get a new name in the, or newish name for me at least, in the mix every once in a while. Get out of here. I want more real estate there. I'm gonna hide my indicators here just for a minute so we can focus on price action. Let's get some levels mapped out here. Let me also quickly clean up this chart real fast. All right, that looks better. All right, Toast. So for those who don't know, Toast is a, I'm going to say POS system, and people are going to think that means piece of shit system. Point of sale system. Restaurants and all kinds of places, food trucks, using their hardware and software. Whoops. Definitely, at least back when we were looking at it previously, looks like a good investment play. Buy and hold. Not a lot of support or resistances built up on this weekly chart, going back to when it ran through some of these upper ranges. All right, where are these levels sitting at? Yeah, that looks like a pretty decent one actually, trying to hold this daily support here pre-market. Yeah, I did mention IREN. It's not holding that support we're looking for it to hold, but it could still pull back above that potentially in the next 4 minutes. So we'll see. Keep an eye on it. May not be a great buy the dip if that level does not hold. That is interesting. Question is, yeah, that's kind of what I was hoping to see. Toast can make some pretty big moves. Lots of chop in this range. Yeah, that is a little bit of an interesting level there. Same thing here. But this range between 48.74 and 52.72, that goes all the way back to here to find anything. I'm just not seeing. This might be an interesting level. We'll take a look at it. I'm going to flag it so it sticks out. This is definitely an interesting level, though, on the daily chart. Whoops, daily chart. There we go. All right, let's take one last look at this range back here. I want to take a look on this 4-hour chart, see if that starts to help fill in some of these what look like blanks to me. Yeah, both of those look interesting. Same thing with this level. All right, let's see what that looks like. Okay, let's take this to the hourly chart. Let's throw, whoops, don't need that, that's what I meant to do. Let's see what the indicators help us see. Lots of confluence overhead right there at that 45.71 weekly resistance. Yeah, I'd want to see that clear out to potentially make a move. And it certainly looks like, yeah, this is actually kind of like how this is setting up, actually. PT1 and our stop loss, PT2. Yeah, I'd have it just below this weekly level. There's potential for a little bit of an earlier rejection. Right there, alpha 48.41. Could push for 50.18, but I think, again, potential for a rejection there at 49.52. All right, so that's the upside. Where does downside get interesting? kind of eyeballing this 42.97 level. Yeah, I think there's potential there. To take it down to this weekly support. Looks like quick. What's up, OG Digital? What's up, everybody who's joined since we got this started? Sorry if I've been a little bit quiet. I've been focused on trying to lock in this trade plan. Kind of quick PT1 and PT2 there. We did double bottom off that level recently, so that would be an interesting level to hold. Yeah, below that 39.12, but one thing I will say is if 39.12 breaks, it looks like it'll see 37.13 at least to me. So, you know, if you can lock in a free runner or two on the move down, assuming, you know, depending on how things play out. On this trade plan, I would not begrudge anybody from trying to hold a couple of contracts to see if we do break 39.12 and make a move to 37.13. Just make sure that you're chasing the price action with stops on the way down. Make sure that you're keeping yourself away from, you know, letting the green trade go red, of course. All right, so let's get this locked in on the trade plan navigator pilot. Whoops. And shared stop loss there at 450. All right, so that looks pretty solid. Let's clean this up real quick. All right. Oh, wait, I want to hide those. All right, here comes your Toast live stream plan. Getting ready to post this for you all. And I'm also going to get it over here in the Elite chat. Let's get our alerts set for it. And we'll give this one a week to start to play out. And last but not least, let me knock out these last couple of things here. All right, so what are we looking for here on Toast? We're looking for a break above 45.71. That should give us targets at 47.43, 48.41, and 49.52. Just kind of $1 moves there after it hits that first price target. With a stop loss average down at 44.50 to the downside. We're looking for a break below 43.01. That should give us targets at 41.19, 40.21, and 39.12 with a shared stop loss average down at 44.50. Those are your Toast live stream plans. Thank you, Chris, for the great recommendation as always. What's up, Yoda? Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. All right, what was our next one? Let's see. Golly, there's a lot of chat this morning. I love it. I love the activity. RCL. And then I'll try to take a look at VFF. That was the first request. It did have a big volume spike, but overall a little bit low volume in the bigger picture. But could be a decent share trade potentially. We shall see. And I would say the good part about anybody running a greenhouse company is, even though they seem to be very specific to the cannabis industry right now, you can always pivot to something else if for some reason there are issues with cannabis regulation at any point. So it's not totally locked into that. So let's take a look at RCL. That's what is that? Royal Caribbean, I think. Cruise ships. Holy smokes! Do they do a reverse split or something like that at some point? Or am I thinking of, maybe I'm thinking of CCL, Carnival. I don't remember it being up in the hundreds of dollars a share. Yeah, they had a great rally, decent pullback. So yeah, this could be finding some value areas potentially. Where are... Yeah, this one did trade a lot lower, at least the last time I looked at it, which was apparently quite a while ago. It's been on a massive run. All right. Don't know if I'll ever need these levels again. We'll see. I'm just going to hide them for now. They're not really relevant up in this range. All right. What do we got here? Royal Caribbean. Caribbean. Potato, tomato. I was walking the fish. I mean, I've seen people walking their cats, so why not fish, right? Is Royal Caribbean ever up in this range? The answer is no. Okay. Just wonder if we had any prior price action there. This is an interesting level, but needs confirming. Any other weekly levels that stick out here? That is an interesting one. Not, this could be one. A little bit iffy there, but could be. All right, let's take a look at this. Another interesting level, but not really confirmed yet there. This all-time high, we'll mark that off. Also be interested to see if this little dip turns out to be like a 4-hour level or something like that. Yeah, not a lot of price testing in this range. Also, looks like it had a really strong... Grab that. No? Thought that looked like it would line up. Could be a little bit more like this in that case. Or this. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. So yeah, seems to be breaking down a bit actually. Had a nice trend line. broke down. We're now back testing and rejecting that trend line. So this could see a decent pullback here actually, but we'll see. We'll let the chart tell us what to do. All right, I want to check these levels, see if we get some better confirmation on them. Do have a level up here that we can see now. Definitely want to mark that. And here. There. And there. Bit of a fair value gap below this 298.39. Kind of just ran heavy to the upside through that range. Okay, let's take this to the hourly chart. Let's get this locked in. All right. So, I think we need a little bit more confirmation that this break of trend is going to continue to the downside. Oops, damn it. Didn't mean to do that. Wrong key on the keyboard. This is also an interesting level here. For upside stop loss. This level's a little bit off. There we go. All right, so like these first two price targets, actually just 1, 2, 3 to the upside. Could stretch a little bit more, but let's not be greedy. To the downside, again, I think this definitely opens up below 298.39 for a deeper pullback there. This was a level that we were trying to lock in. It looks like it really should sit right there. So let's get that locked in. All right, here goes our trade plans. Let's get this finalized. 318.75 up to 327.96, 338.65, and 346.57. 309.91. Put entry 298.39, 285.24, 278.16, and 269.27, 306.28. No shared stop loss on this one. Ah, there we go. All right, and let's get these cleaned up and make a small adjustment here. A little bit more, a little bit more, even more. There we go. All right, so here is the RCL live stream plan. And get this over here in the elite chat. Get our alerts locked in. Same as chart. Cool, cool, cool. Oops, next week. And let's also get this locked into our template. All right, so what are we looking for here on Royal Caribbean? We're looking for a break over 318.75. That should give us targets at 327.96, 338.65, and 346.57 with a stop loss average down at 309.91. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 298.39. That should bring targets at 285, 24, 278.16, and 269.27 with a stop loss average down at 306.28 for the downside. Those are your RCL trade plans. All right, VFF for surge. I don't want to forget about this one. Definitely looks like a bit of a bull flag. Is that an actual? Yeah, there's a decent level there. So I'd say if it can break over 274, looks like it should test somewhere up near 335. There's a little bit lower than that. Yeah, actually it is. I'd say 312 actually. And then I'd be looking more for like 343 and over that. Then it really could make another nice move to the upside. Yeah, I'd say right about here up to 415. So that's just a quick take for you, Serge. I didn't want to leave you totally hanging, but I did want to get to some kind of more liquid, active volume traders there for the core trade plans this morning. All right, we are 10 minutes out from market open, folks. I do need to get the SPY plan put together and published, so I'll get that out here shortly. We will be back next Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you in advance for coming back next week. Until then, as we always say here on Chart Talk Live, plan your trades, trade your plans, go out there and get some green, keep those wins big, keep those losses small. Remember, we're looking for profits, not perfection. So follow your plans, stick to your guns, and everything will work out in the big picture. All right, I will see you guys next Tuesday and in the chats in the meantime. Until then, take care. Have a great day, everybody.